In this video, I'm gonna show you how to make a guitar looping cover of the song Beat It by Michael Jackson. Beat It is a perfectly loopable song because the drum beat is the same all throughout the song, so we can just set it and forget it. If you have a drum machine pedal like I have with my Singular Sound Beat Buddy, you can just use it and set it out for the entire song. So if you have the Beat Buddy, I chose the groove rock number 3 at a tempo of about 135 BPM. I don't know if that's the real tempo, but it felt really close to the song. So it sounds like this. Right? So super close to the real song. The real song doesn't have the little variation in the middle, right? It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, and 4. So if you don't have a drum machine pedal, you can do the percussion by yourself also with the guitar, right? I'm going to show you how to do that. So the percussion can be a little aggressive when you play it at full volume. That's why I put my volume knob at about 7 on my guitar, and I roll off the tone knob just a little bit, and I play with the neck pickup so that it's not too aggressive and too overpowering for the rest, right? So like I said, the accents are on the 2 and the 4 for the snare, like we have for so many rock drum beats or pop or else. And on the last bar, we have the N4 as an accent as well. So what I'm doing is that I'm gonna do a steady 8 notes with for the hi-hat, right? To mimic the hi-hat like this on the thinnest strings. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Just get a feel for it, right? Mute the strings, right? I didn't mention that, but you should mute the strings. And try to get the beat of the hi-hat like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then if you want to do the snare, you're going to accent on the same thinnest strings, the strings 1, 2, 3, by going harder on it. Right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Like this. And the last element is to accent the bass drum by going on the thickest strings, right? The strings 6, 5, and 4. Right? It's going to give you more lower frequencies like this. Right? So we're going to do the bass drum, the snare, and we're going to keep it with 8 notes for the hi-hat. That's going to go like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 4 1 2 4 1 2 and 4 2 4 2 and 4. Right? You might need to practice that a little bit, maybe do it slower, but that's going to be the basis of the beat right here. And an important thing is that we're not going to record it from 1. We're going to record it from 4. Why? Because in the riff itself, there is a little anticipation that we're going to miss if we change from the verse to the chorus if we don't record it first, right? It goes like... right? So it's just a little earlier than when we go on 1. So because of that, we're going to start recording and looping on the 4 instead of on the 1. For the listener, it's not going to make any difference, but for us, it's going to help a lot for the arrangement, right? So I'm going to play my steady beat like this. And I'm going to step on the looper on the 4 when I do the and 4, right? So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and step, right? And step on the looper at that exact time, right? So let's start. Let's try that. And 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 and 4. Right? So you don't notice that it starts on 4 when you listen to it, but you know it, right? So I'm going to stop that. Before starting the main riff, there is another detail. I want to keep that percussion track for all the parts of my song, the verse, the chorus, even the bridge. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to lock it into place, right? So on the arrows right here, if I step and hold the left button, I get a menu. And if I scroll down, I have the option to lock the track in place. So I'm going to select it. And now the track is locked, so it means that I won't have to re-record it if I change from verse to chorus or such, right? If you have another looper, that might be a different process to do that, but it's going to save us some time by keeping the percussion track for the entirety of the song, right? By the way, if you want to get the Eros or the Beat Buddy drum machine that I showed you, I have a 10% coupon code for my audience. It's you just have to enter Antoine10 at checkout if you go to Singular Sound's website by clicking on my affiliate link, first link in the description box below, right? So if you want to recreate it exactly like I did and you want the same stuff, you can get a nice discount on it. All right, so now we can start learning the riff, right? So in this song, we are tuned a half step down to E flat. So instead of the standard E, A, D, G, B, E, it's E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, E flat, right? So if you want to follow along with this lesson, you might want to down tune your guitar, but if you want to do it by yourself, you can stay in E standard. It doesn't matter, right? So the main riff is gonna go like this. So it's the same thing twice, but we play the D, da, da, 2 times the first time, and then just once the second time, right? So you might want to practice that slower and get it up to speed until you reach about 135 BPM. Right, so I'm gonna start my drum beat, my percussion track, and I'm gonna record that on top of that, right? So I'm gonna cue the next track. And play. Nice, right? The anticipation is really important in that riff, right? It wouldn't sound as cool as if it was da 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 da. No, it's like right? It's so cool to do it like this, right? And then we have the little funky chord to add on it, right? So that's the kind of thing where I put my volume also at 7 or 8 just so to not overpower it, because I do a lot of pick scraps with it, right? Essentially, it's just an E minor chord and a D major chord, right? That you bar like this, but we're gonna keep only what's inside of it. So you have to be good at muting the strings besides it so that you can play only the chord and not the rest, right? So we're gonna accent the notes on the second and third string, and then on the third and fourth. And we're gonna do the little like this, like we did for the percussion track, right? 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 So we're gonna do that, but also on the D chord, right? So once again, practice that really slowly and ramp the speed up. So let's add that on top. Cueing the next track. Awesome. Now we can start building the verse. So that was kind of the chorus. Now we're going to go to the verse. So I'm going to start it again. I'm going to cycle to a new song part, and I'm going to hit record. right, so you notice the percussion track stayed there even if we changed the song part to the verse. That's why we want to lock the track in. And it's super easy to play, right? It's just like little power chords that you can play with 2 fingers only. So that's an E, D, and C, right? And if you know the song well, the rhythm is not really too hard to put down for this one, right? Something that I have not mentioned and that you can add on top as another layer is to mimic the bass line. So what I like to have on my board is an octaver pedal, and I use it to mimic the bass line by removing the dry signal, the high octave, and use only the sub octave on the pedal, like you see on my Electro Harmonix Micro Pog. So if I activate it, now it's going to be only the lower notes, an octave down like the bass. Right? Super cool. For the bass tone, you might want to be on your neck pickup as well and roll off the tone a little bit to get more oomph, more low end, right? And now we're going to record the same exact riff. And the first note of the power chords. Right? It's going to add more bottom end to your looping sound. It might sound thin a little bit if you don't add a bass line to it. So let's record that. All right, so now I'm going to cycle through the song parts to go back to the chorus. I'm going to click play. And I'm going to play the main riff, but with my bass sound. Let's go back to the verse. Nice, right? So that's how you cycle through it. You just select the song parts and then you trigger them to go one after another. Another thing that I added in the verse is I added a little bit of delay and I used my volume pedal to create kind of a pad to kind of make it sound fuller, right? I completed the chords. So I played an E minor chord, but only the top part of it. Same for the D chord, the top part of it, and C. Right? And I use a volume pedal. You could use the volume knob on your guitar as well to do it like this. Right? And you follow the chord progression while you're doing that. So let's add a layer of that. Press record. Nice. Now the only other thing that we need is the bridge part or the transition part, right? It's really, really easy. It's just to play the open E in the same rhythm than the verse, but just with the E, right? So I'm going to trigger a new part to record a new part. All right, let's go. Easy as this, right? And then we're gonna add a little funky chord, but just with the E minor chord. I'm gonna add it as another layer. And then I'm gonna cycle through to go back to the verse. because the verse, we're gonna play the solo on top. So you can do whatever you want on the solo. Of course, if you're not at the level of Eddie Van Halen, you cannot play stuff like this, but you can try to improvise using a simple E minor pentatonic box like we used it. And something that I have not mentioned in the lesson is that you can use the sounds that you want. In my cover that I posted, I added a lot of distortion to kind of sound more like the real song. For this lesson, I wanted to use clean sounds so that it's easier for the ears for the entire lesson, but you can use distortion if you want in the song, especially for your solo. So I'm gonna add some delay and a lot of heavy distortion to kind of improvise on top of that, right? So what you can do is improvise with your first box of the E minor pentatonic and have fun with that. Right? So it could be really fun to do that, but if you really want to play a little something that's more like Eddie Van Halen, you can try these three things. You can try to add a whammy bar, right? And use it for like... use it down like this. You can try to learn about pinch harmonics, where you play a note and... like Van Halen's doing with the whammy bar, and you can learn about tapping licks, right? So one that I used in my cover is like this. Right? So it sounds more impressive than it is, right? If you're able to play that and to gradually get it faster and faster, then you have to do the same principle with your the notes of your E minor scale to go down like this, and it's going to sound super impressive. Like this, right? So you might want to try that and to channel your inner Van Halen. One thing that you can do if it feels too loud for your playing when you are soloing is to just lower the master volume of the loop a little bit so that your solo can pop on top. It's actually something that I did in my cover as well, right? So I'm just gonna go to the wheel, just slightly down like this. Now it's gonna leave some space. Right? So I get more volume for my solo a little bit this way, right? Last detail, and I think it's the hardest part of the song, is to actually play your solo, whether you improvise or you learn something, and cycle through the song parts to trigger the chorus to reappear when you play your last note on your solo for the big climax, right? So I'm gonna cycle through the song parts because I was on the verse to go back to the chorus like this. So let's play that again. And now while I'm playing, I cycle until I get the first one. And I press for the big climax, right? So that's something that you might have to practice a lot, right? To play and still use your feet at the same time to cycle and push the button at the right time, right? So I think you have everything you need to cover this song. Once again, if you want to get exactly what I have, the Eros Loop Studio, the Beat Buddy, you can have 10% off on the pedals by using my affiliate link below. and entering code Antoine10 at checkout to get a discount. And if it's out of your budget, you might want to check out as well my looper buying guide for any budget. It's the second link in the description box. I give you recommendations on low and mid and high budgets for loopers based on my experience looping for 10 plus years and making a lot of demos on my channel. So you might find something that is more according to your needs and your budget. So go check it out. Second link in the description box below, and have fun playing Beat It. Until next time, keep on looping.